Oh hey, didn't see you there. So I feel like we've all watched My Hero Academia, so we all have this feeling of self-improvement. And how do you improve yourself? You figure out your flaws first. So I signed up for one of those peer review sites. I put myself up as a project. Apparently everything wrong with me will be highlighted. Oh, it's here actually. I don't want to play this game anymore. Is there anything more painful than an anime with good qualities not being good? Yeah, right. Not every anime is good. I think that's an easily established fact by now. For every Steins Gate, there's, oh hey look, blood in my mouth. But not every anime is completely irredeemable, just no game, no life. But what exactly could make a show bad? It could be any number of issues, from the writing in the source material to just a botched execution in the anime. So what I want to do is just fix some flawed anime. Now, a little backpedaling before we even get started. Just because I see some of these things as flaws doesn't mean they are objective things that need to be fixed, just what hindered my personal viewing experience. And something being on this list doesn't mean I dislike it, just something I thought had some rough issues. What? You thought I liked Black Clover? What would give you that idea? Ugh. I think we can all agree that Black Clover is a very unique property in the modern anime climate. A continuous show in a seasonal age, a show that didn't get written off because of a very rough start, and it's even a property that managed to get fans after it was mocked for haha loud boy loud and awful animation. Okay, but how do we fix it? Put Black Clover in a bowl, add salt, pepper, basically just season it. I'm funny. Most of the fundamental flaws with Black Clover is clearly how rushed it is. Average looking visuals are comparatively a treat after long periods of painful animation. Of course, that's not to say the show doesn't have its great moments, but the animation and pacing at times are the biggest issues of the property, let's be honest. I mean, yeah, people do call it generic shonen, and yeah, Asta isn't the most beloved character in fictional history, but that opinion can vary from person to person. Personally, I like generic shonen, and I really enjoy Asta as a character, so I don't think that's a needed fix, and oh hey look who's making this video. So I think the release schedule is the biggest thing that needs to be changed. Also, a seasonal Black Clover would have prevented a literal year of filler that we're about to go through, so there's that. This show is such a copy and paste of generic shonen tropes. Who would even watch anything like that? As I was saying. To be fair, when it comes to Black Clover and Fairy Tail, there are differences in what people say. Like, people can say in Black Clover an aspect they enjoy is... Honestly, you could stop right there and it would still work. Okay, enough of that dead horse. We have another one I have yet to really talk about. Fairy Tail has always had its infamous aspects, but it was mindless and enjoyable. Big fights, power of friendship, it was a fun time. But the arcs got more serious, and it even got a tad darker, or should I say less saturated. But it couldn't always be fun. The stakes in these arcs became higher after all. Or did it? My personal biggest issue with Fairy Tail is that there's never really any consequences, mostly that the characters never die. Listen, you can tell an action-heavy story where no one dies, that's fine, but the fact that the story has a lot of, oh no, they died, wait, no they didn't, moments made so many arcs feel cheapened. In a lot of anime, you'll usually think they won't die, it's highly unlikely, but with Fairy Tail, you know even if they do die, it will just be snapped and undone. So how I see it, there are two different ways to fix it. Either actually kill off the characters and keep them dead, or stop acting like it's gonna happen. So I tried to pick up one of my volumes of Akame Ga Kill, you know, to research this video, and I don't know if I hurt myself from the edge. Akame Ga Kill holds a very special place in my heart because, I shouldn't value this property as much as I do, but I really enjoyed it in my early weeb days. The anime had its issues, but none really production related. I mean, it probably does need a Brotherhood treatment for it to fit the manga ending and maybe be able to continue with an adaptation of Hinawa Got Crushed, but I already talked about that a while ago. What I want to bring up is how to fix this one. I think the biggest flaw in the show is how disposable the characters are. Listen, I love the fact that any character could have died at any point. As a fresh viewer that didn't even know that, I never knew who would get out of what situation, but once a character died, they were mostly just forgotten. You never really saw the characters react or mourn aside from the first person that died, and that made every character dying after that feel like basically nothing. It was less of a death and more of a story write-off. I understand the written reason being, oh, no time to mourn, but most of these guys were never even thought of again. Honestly, would it be one of my videos if I didn't bring the show up at least once? I'll run through this quick. I've always enjoyed the premise and setting of Sword Art Online, the core idea of it, I mean. but I struggle to say I genuinely like the show. I think the biggest drag of the series are the characters. They're either underutilized or basically never important, or just literally exist to worship Kirito. And that's boring. I think a cast overhaul where other characters actually have more than one arc of greatness and other people actually can do something would do the show wonders. The building blocks for something good is here, but the way people are written truly holds it back. I mean, we know character variety is possible with Fatal Bullet. Look, people actually useful and impressive. Why isn't this here?
For everyone who disagrees that there are needed changes, that's a 14-year-old girl. Here's a bunch of people she can kill. I don't like how connected those words are.
I don't like to overuse the word iconic. So much I think that's the most iconic part of me. But within the anime community, I think there's little room to argue if Future Diary hits that mark. While it may not be the best show with oh my god painful edginess and the fact that this sentence was used,
within the ripe old age of 14.
The female lead, Yuno Gasai, is what put yanderes on the map. Now is she the first one? Probably not. I don't want to look into it because every time I look up the term yandere, I get malware. But I know she's one of the first things people think of when the topic of yandere is brought up. That in the game of is it fetish or phobia.
Here I am talking about different topics, how iconic of me.
I think a lot overall needs to be tweaked here and there. I'm not a stickler for realism. I believe in a fictional medium you have permission to do what the hell ever you want. But in the case of Future Diary, there's just a blatant disregard for real-world logic here, and not in a creative way, I mean in the, wow, she killed a lot of children and they're playing her off as a good guy way. There's just too much of a need for the suspension of disbelief here that needs to be more thought out, and please for the love of Grimgard, never make me hear the word ripe and 14 in the same sentence ever again. I know I had a whole video dedicated to the series the show is connected to, but I talked about way too much into specifics when Index has some vaguer issues. That, if we're different, would greatly enhance the viewing experience. Magical Index's biggest issue is the protagonist, Kamijo Toma. I'll be honest, there are a lot of things I like about him. The memory loss in Season 1, his power nullification ability, the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in his arm, all very cool. But out of most of the characters, at least the protagonists, he's by far the weakest in terms of writing. Misaka has moments of growth. She has times where her ideologies are wrong, and she learns from those mistakes. Accelerator has had a fantastic redemption arc and changes throughout the story, but struggles with his past. Toma, in comparison to those two, he's kinda flat. He always does the right thing, he's always level-headed, there's just no room for him to grow, so seeing him do 22 light novels of adventuring and he stayed practically the same, for 21 of those light novels, it can get boring. Yeah, there's the argument Index is about the world, not about the characters, but I know two different shows that are in the same world that have incredible characters. Making the protagonist more flawed and human-like would greatly enhance the show.
Oh, you're back just in time to hear some of my pitches. So I'm writing to some animation companies to make some changes to stuff I'm not happy about. Now, how are they supposed to go back in time and fix things that they've already made? Oh no, it's not my problem. Don't. Please don't. Don't release it. Honestly, we need more of it.